Welcome back, guys. So in previous lecture we have discussed section 1 fundamentals of testing. Okay, in this what we did is, we covered what is testing. We defined testing, objective of testing, and what is difference between testing and debugging. So as you can see, we have section 1 fundamentals of testing, in which we covered skill 1.1 what is testing, which have different subpart where we have defined testing. Then we saw the objectives of testing, and we find the difference between debugging and testing. So these are the things we have covered in our last lecture, and before that we have covered the syllabus of the manual testing, which we will take from here throughout our manual testing playlist, which will be dedicated purely to manual testing. So this is what we have covered till now. So from now we will continue to skill set 1.2. okay, so in this we will cover why testing is necessary. This will also be part of fundamentals of testing only, which will be inside section 1, but previously we have learned skill 1.1 what is testing, and now we should be able to answer why is testing necessary. So it will be subdivided into 3 parts: testing's contribution to success, testing and quality assurance, error, defects, failures, and root causes. So we will try to understand basically why testing is required, what is the basic difference between testing and quality assurance. After that we will see high level understanding of error, defects, failure, and root causes. Though this 1.2.3 will have a dedicated lecture ahead, but we should be aware of these terminologies because we will be frequently dealing with these terminologies. So we should get it inside our head in initial lectures only. So that's why I am covering it here as a definition, so that you will be aware. I will give you examples as well, but in case in some of the lecture if you find any terminology which you do not know, do not get panic or bother about it. We will cover everything in upcoming lectures. Okay, but I will try to clarify everything which I will be saying while giving the lecture, so that you will be understanding the whole thing, that why that terminology is used and what that mean. Okay, even if that I will not be using technically, but I will be justifying it in a layman style so that you can get the point. And in further lectures we will cover those terminologies in more detailed way. Okay, so firstly we will see why is testing necessary. So in our previous lecture, if you can recall, we have already discussed about our daily life, where we came across a lot of applications, and that can be booking tickets, filling the forms, or buying something on the online applications like Amazon or Flipkart. So in some cases you must have seen issues inside the applications, or something which is creating a frustration that you were on the last step, and from there something failed and you were not able to reach the final step, and that causes a frustration inside you. So that is what the term why testing is required comes into the picture. So when you discuss about the question why after what, like if you have already understand what is testing, you should also be able to understand why testing is required. So testing is very important in any project. When I saying when I am saying project, that means the overall development process belongs to a particular software for a particular client, can be called as project. Suppose I am a client and I reach out to you. You are a consultant who deals with this testing part. So I have given you that particular software, explained my outcome requirements and everything. So the expected outcome that this software should act in this way. So now you have created a project which contain testing, but a project contain not only testing but a lot of things we will discuss further. So that's why we are calling it as a project. So when you are testing a software as inside a project, we are ensuring that the project should hit all the target it required. Okay, that means what are the target it can require? That means it should be in a budget which is defined on initial level, and it is finalized on time or in a specific timeline which is decided. Okay, so these two are very key thing, and they are directly proportional to each other. If suppose we call a terminology billing. So when you will go inside the project, you will work for a project. So when the project will start, suppose your testing project is starting, and I am your client and I reach out to you that this is my software, this is the expected outcome. So you must be charging me anything or something. You should have a budget. So that budget, in a layman style, you can say that can be called as billing. That okay, we both sit together and we got to understand the requirements or everything related to that particular project which will be dealing with, like how many resources will be included inside it, or the time it will take, the kind of testing is required, everything. So on that particular key points, we will decide a billing, and that billing will be taken forward for testing purpose. So if you're saying you have been given £100 for the testing of a software for 50 days, that means that software should get completed its testing within those 50 days, because we have been given billing for only 50 days. After that it will be like you are doing something for the client for free. Okay, or in case there is some issues because of the client side, you can increase your billing because you are increasing your days. So that is a different ask. Okay, so coming to our point, why testing is necessary. So like when you want to be in budget and finishing on time, then you need testing. Okay, and if you have a software to launch, so you in market, and that software should run on high quality without any issues, error, defect, then you need testing. When I am saying defect, I will let you know what I mean by defect in further in upcoming 10 to 15 seconds, or or you can say in 2 minutes, 3 minutes. So defect free software is one of the you can say that defect free software is one of the ask for testing. So that is where testing is required or necessary. Testing guarantees the quality of the software. Okay, it makes the software more reliable and easy to use, and thoroughly tested software ensures reliable and high performance software operation, because it improves your business. And if software will fail with because of bad testing, it will hamper the business or the reputation of the client, you know, and it can cause frustration to everyone. And in case several cases, like if that particular product is related to something which is doing some reverse action, that can be a risk to life as well. So that is why testing is very much required. Correct. So after that, if you will see this thing, you will be like not able to understand that what are these things. Okay, so these things, if we will consolidate this thing, it comes to the success of testing. How we can contribute in such a way that testing can contribute in the success of a software. So there can be different key elements, like if you are able to find defects inside the software successfully, and your end software is of very high quality, because there are least defect or no defects, then it's a kind of tending towards success of that particular testing, because you have defect free production. Okay, production means when a software go to public, in nutshell you can say that, or if software is going live after all the testing phases or the development processes, that is known as going inside live or production. Okay, so in success of testing, there is also, we need to evaluate the quality of the software. That can be done via validating and you can say validating and checking the different functionality of the software. Okay, even there is not like only the execution part of the testing which is very much important. If you want your testing to be successful, you involve your tester in initial cycles of the software testing, which can be requirement gathering, where your tester is available along with business team and development team, and they are trying to understand that what are the requirements. Okay, which will help to understand the overall application. Okay, so in those meeting, if you are your tester is going, so he is slowly understanding the behavior of the application. So involvement of test and requirement reviews and user story refinement is very much important. So user story important and refinement means in initial days of testing, we try to create a document from business side, where they will prototype the application in a way like it is a customer is writing the steps of navigation of that particular application. So that is a kind of user story. So, and refinement means a version is already created, and day by day, after discussion with clients, business team is improving that document. So they are doing refinement kind of thing. So, and after that, working along with developers. So you can say that you are having a frequent meeting with business team, development team. There is a term known as three amigos. Three amigos means friends, where testing, development and business team are coming together to understand the requirement, user interface or specification of the application, which is leading toward the success of the testing. So when I'm saying business is the first team who is dealing with clients to understand the requirement of the project or the software, and then they are discussing it with developer if developing a coding is required, and after that if after coding it is going to testing, depending upon the kind of testing you are doing, either waterfall or agile, which we will discuss in further lectures. Just to let you know, waterfall is something where development will be done first and after that testing will be done, but in agile testing and development both will be done simultaneously. Okay, so after that, tester verifying and validating the software before its release, which is none other than execution of the application via functionality, where we will create test cases, enter data, and try to understand whether the used cases which are created and the user specification created, requirement creation which is done, everything is as expected in those particular test cases, which is tending toward the execution of the steps and the expected outcome. So that's overall the testing contribution to the success. Okay, in this way we can contribute these things, these key elements contribute toward a successful testing of a software, which lead to a very high quality software. After that, a question came, like in our day-to-day life or even in projects, we try to say that testing and quality assurance both are same thing. But if you will ask question, does testing and quality assurance is same thing? So the answer is no. Testing and quality assurance is not same thing. Testing is a form of quality control. Okay, and the major part of quality controls is covered by testing. Okay, though quality assurance is much wider topic to discuss. It's beyond the frame of testing. Okay, and it can be used in any set of or any phase of you can say the life cycle or the process where we are. Like if you are developing a software, that time also quality assurance can be done. If you are testing, that time also quality assurance can be done. Even in initial days where the requirement gathering along with client and business team is happening, that time also quality assurance can be done. Okay, so if you will try to understand, so firstly we will see what is quality control. So quality control is product oriented corrective approach that focus on those activities supporting the achievement of appropriate level of quality. So suppose you have a product and you have to you work in such a way that the whole approach should be in such a way which is tending toward the working of the quality of the product, and it basically comes under product oriented items. Okay, and testing can be taken as a sub part of quality control, but it can also be said as quality control is more or less similar to testing, because testing is a major form of quality control. So if I will say that what is quality assurance, so quality assurance is a process oriented approach, okay, which aims to prevent issues. Okay, which aims to prevent issues. So how it can be done? So because if you will ask question like testing is also used to prevent issues, so that is different thing. Okay, suppose you have started a testing life cycle, means testing life cycle means you have started a project where you have to do testing for a software. So you are creating requirement. So creating those requirement is also part of quality assurance, because if you will create a correct requirement, that will lead you towards a good software. Because if your requirement will be correct, the tester who will look at those requirement, review those requirement, he will be able to understand, okay, this is the requirement and this is how the expected outcome will come. So that will come under quality assurance, because if your requirement will be correct, then your testing will be done accordingly. But if there is a fault in your requirement, testing will also not work, because it is following your requirement document only. Okay, so here also we have to assure that your requirement is correct. After that, if you are doing a coding, so after doing a, suppose you have a whole software out of which you have created a bit of software, and after that, you when you are doing the kind of testing related to the specification, so that is where you are doing quality assurance, because you are trying to understand if everything is working fine or not. Suppose you got an environmental issue in your project, and your software is not working, and after some time the environment came back and your software started working. So you will check from first page to last page to make yourself ensure that your software is working fine. That is a preventive measure to understand or having assurance that your project or software is fine or not. So that is a preventive measure, a process. So QA is relevant to both the development and testing process. Both can do it, and every team member is responsible for it on a project. So if you will come to test results, so test results are used by both QA and quality control, QC, or you can say testing. So but QC utilize them to correct defects, while QA utilize them to provide feedback on development and testing process performance. So if I will just to conclude it, testing is kind of implementation, because it will find the bugs, find the defects, find the failures, and then send it for debugging purpose. Okay, but quality assurance is not about finding that how it is happening, that it is like how we should perform a particular thing so that it will not lead to a failure. So that is what quality assurance is. If you have followed a process in such a way that is tending toward a good quality software, so that is where you are assuring that the quality of the software is good, which is quality assurance. But testing includes implementation, where you will find any issues in functionality, and a failure you will raise a defect for it. So that is what a basic difference between testing and quality assurance. So now here comes the topics: error, defects, failures, and root causes. So as the name suggests, we all are human and we all make mistakes. So suppose in development phase while coding I have done some mistakes. Okay, now those mistakes can be taken as errors, because we all are human, we can all do that. We all are not like a robot who cannot do mistakes. We can do it. So that's what we can call it as errors, that because the expected outcome is not matching the actual outcome. So if there is an error, what will happen? Failure to that particular software. So in some cases there will be a direct impact on the software. In some cases it will be like impact on some part of the software, and some part of the software will work fine. So, and in some other cases the error will be such minute that you will not be able to see the issues. Okay, or you cannot be able to recreate them. So if there will be an deviation from the expected outcome, that can cause failure to the software. And if there will be failure to software, we need to raise defects. So that is what, when the expected outcome is not matching the actual outcome, then the software will not work, and if software will not work, we will create defects. So any deviation from the expected outcome can be called as defects or bug. We will discuss in more detailed way in upcoming lecture. Now this is the third key step, that we have raised the defect. What will happen after that? When you will raise the defect, someone need to debug it, okay, and need to find the root cause, because if root cause, we will get the root cause, we will try to eliminate that failures, that errors, and hence the defect will be resolved. So that's where root cause need to be found as soon as possible, so that we can resolve it and we can implement it, so that the error can be eliminated. So when creating software, mistakes can happen due to variety of reason. Okay, it could be because of tight schedules, complicated tasks, insufficient training, or simply being tired, because we all are human. And in some cases, there is business knowledge, not some business knowledge, or there are some leading effect like a bad documentation of requirements, or clients feedback on the software changes every time, their requirement changes every time, so that all can be an issues. So these mistakes can shown up in various form like documentation, source code, or supporting material, as I was telling. So to prevent these mistakes from affecting the final product, it's important to catch and resolve them early on in the development process. Okay, so what we will do, we will create defects. So when there is a defect in the code, the system may not perform its intended functions or may perform unintended functions, leading to a failure. Okay, certain defects will always result in failure, while other may only result in failure in certain situations, and some may never result in failure. Additionally, failures can be caused by factors other than error and defects. Failure can also be caused by environmental conditions. Okay, so these things we have already discussed. So how we have created a defect now, and we need a root cause. So how we will find the root cause? What is root cause? A root cause is a fundamental reason for the occurrence of a problem. Correct? Root causes are identified through root causes analysis, which is typically performed when a failure occurs or a defect is identified. It is believed that further similar failures or defects can be prevented or their frequency reduced by addressing the root cause, such as by removing it. So that's all we have already discussed, sir, what is root cause and why it is very important. So in this way, we have covered the skill set 1.2, where we have discussed why testing is important and the sub part of why testing is important. So we will meet in next lecture, and we will in that lecture we will see the principle of testing. So till then, bye.